Gojo Satoru, the champion of Jujutsu High, and currently the one who is fighting against Ryomen and Sukuna. Both of them are put in an incredibly bad spot right now, unable to use their domain expansions. And while Sukuna has a lot he hasn't used yet, Gojo has seen everything that we have seen him use. But I don't think we have seen him use everything he has in his arsenal yet. And this video is to explain Gojo's new ability and new mastery of the Six Eyes that will allow him to destroy Sukuna once used at full potential. Anyways, before we get into this vid, be sure to subscribe if you like anime content like this. We're really close to 3K, so I really hope that it's possible for us to hit 3K this month. But if it's not and we hit it next month, that's fine too. You guys are all great. Anyways, let's get straight into this video on the full potential of Gojo's Six Eyes. So first, I do want to go into the fact of why I think Gojo even needs a new ability up to this point. Because I know a lot of you people are going to think Gojo doesn't need a new ability, he is completely fine with everything that he has shown so far. And the issue is, we have seen every single ability that Gojo has access to, and none of it works. We have seen him use a Hollow Purple, and Sukuna was able to nullify a 200% amped Hollow Purple at the start. We have seen him use a red, Sukuna could heal from it. We have seen Gojo use blue in order to amplify his speed. Sukuna could deal with that. So none of the techniques we have seen Gojo use up to this point are going to do anything other than maybe help him a little bit in the current battle that is to come against Sukuna. Meanwhile, we know for a fact Sukuna still has a lot more up his arsenal that he hasn't shown off yet. He was only using Cleave and Dismantle as well as a little bit of Mahoraga up until this point. Sukuna still has other curse techniques, we know that for a fact, and Sukuna has only used a little bit of Mahoraga. He hasn't used any part of the 10 Shadows yet against Gojo in this fight. So Gojo looks to be in a really bad position because everything Gojo has done has only been healed off when it comes to fighting Sukuna in comparison to Sukuna, who still has a lot more in his basket. However, I think we're going to see new things from Gojo in this battle. I think his experience in the prison realm has granted him a new mastery over the Six Eyes and access to a new technique that might be his maximum and his way to destroy Sukuna. Now, before I get into what I think this technique is, I'm actually going to give proof on why I think he's learned a new technique while he was in the prison realm, and this is going to be his maximum technique that he has learned. We already know Gojo has learned things from the prison realm. For example, he learned how to make the tiny domain thanks to his experience in the prison realm. If it wasn't for that, he wouldn't be able to make the tiny domain as stated by Kusakabe. But more importantly, we know Gojo has an understanding of how the prison realm works, as well as how the prison realm works on a time-based perspective is explained to us, as it was explained in chapter 223 to be basically like a busy workday where you don't know how much or how little time has passed by. However, in nature, this is very similar to the domain expansion that Gojo does, which the domain expansion is the reflection of the user's technique. But what is the technique that gets used in the domain expansion? It's not limitless, it is the Six Eyes that gets used. Because in the domain expansion, what happens in Gojo's domain expansion is the opponent has to take in several years of information and knowledge, like they're taking in everything and nothing all at once, with no idea of how much time passed or how much information or how much value it has taken into them. And the important thing about that is it is extremely similar to the prison realm and how the prison realm functions in that method. Both the prison realm and Gojo's domain expansion have one thing in common. You won't know how long you are in there for one reason or another. For Gojo's domain expansion, it's because of how much knowledge is put into you all at once, and for the prison realm, it is because time flows extremely differently inside of the prison realm. I do just want to correct myself that the domain that Gojo uses applies both Limitless and the Six Eyes, but that's even more important for the theory that I have of what Gojo's maximum technique is going to be. I'm going to stop beating around the bush and actually talk about what I think Gojo's technique is. What I believe Gojo's new technique that he managed to do is a true application of infinity on a time basis more than a strength basis. Time where it makes no sense of how long it has passed or how little it's passed. Stack that with Gojo's ability to already transmit infinite information into a person. I think Gojo's new ability is the ability to make it so he does several movements in one swipe, that he can compact all of the movements he has ever done or ever will do into one attack or several attacks. Okay, so I think I need to explain how this would function because I know some people would not understand it. So long story short, right? The way I would like to explain this is, imagine if in one timeline Gojo were to land a punch on Sukuna's stomach, while in another timeline Gojo were to land a punch on Sukuna's cheek. Now imagine both of those happen in one timeline. That is basically what I believe that Gojo's new ability is. Because to me, the logical succession of being able to transmit infinite information to someone's brain is to be able to perform an infinite amount of actions in one moment. Now, some of you guys might be wondering, isn't this a little too overpowered for Jujutsu Kaisen? And I mean, it is extremely overpowered, but we already are at the point where there are attacks that can do a black hole and destroy planets, and there's a Shikigami that can adapt to any and all things and any and all phenomena. So I don't think that this is off the table. I'm just saying. But more importantly, I don't think Gojo's going to be able to do infinite amount of actions with every attack. That would be way too draining on a technique that he just figured out recently and might have had a month to train, so he's better with it. I think Gojo is going to do this and like perform 2 actions in 1 attack, which is going to be his new way to like do combinations and things he's never done before. Like he could do a delayed hollow purple or something like that while also using blue to suck someone in or to suck Sukuna in. Like there are a bunch of combos that could be performed really easily. Like he could have himself and another him attacking from 2 separate sides on Sukuna. But now I'm actually going to get into what I think the maximum is going to be if this theory ends up coming true. I think this is going to be like a maximum white type thing where he's going to compact a bunch of hollow purples or something like that, a bunch of infinity from different points of actions, and just infinitely do that and compress it into 1 and launch it all at Sukuna all at once, creating a true infinity white is what I'm gonna call it, or maximum infinity white. Yeah. And like, I think this is gonna cost Gojo his 6 eyes in order to use, because without the 6 eyes, Gojo won't be anywhere near as overpowered and Gege will actually be able to write for him. So it's a win for Gojo, it's a win for the series, and it will be this really cool move. Like, it'll be a win for a lot of people. Sukuna ends up getting defeated, but he won't be killed from this technique. Gojo is going to be a lot less overpowered, so he can stay in the story, still have a fight against Kenjaku with there still being stakes in the story while Yuji is fighting against Inner Sukuna, that type of good jazz. A lot of people win from this other than like the people who want Sukuna to win. And it's completely possible for Gojo to pull this off too, especially if they reference that it's because of the prison realm that he figured out how to do this and how he figured out the flow of time itself with cursed energy. Because with the prison realm experience, it makes a lot of sense. The prison realm is an area of time and space where time doesn't flow naturally, where the flow of time is completely different in there than it is in the comparison to the outside. After all, Gojo had described it as basically a busy workday where you have no idea how long time has passed. But I think Gojo's 6 eyes in time there allowed him to learn and understand the flow of time near perfectly in order to create a technique like this. Now, before people argue with me that Gojo's power has nothing to do with time, both Limitless and 6 Eyes especially have things to do with time, considering 6 Eyes can put years of information into a person, and Jogo describes it like he's feeling everything and nothing all at once. So it's in a weird way already talking about timeline type stuff because he's feeling contradictions. And Limitless is a bit harder to prove, but in the JJK Zero movie, it's referred to as space-time manipulation by Miguel, and Gege has repeatedly said he prefers this version over the actual manga. So there are a lot of arguments that you can make that JJK Zero is actually canon to the thing, but it's a lot more based on the 6 Eyes and the 6 Eyes being linked to time than it is Limitless being linked to time anyway. Now, is this more of like, is this theory probably gonna happen? If I'm gonna be completely honest, no. Probably not going to happen at all. But do I still think this is a really cool idea and could potentially happen nonetheless? Yes. Even though JJK is like not going to reach this point in my opinion, it's still possible for them to reach this point at this point. Nothing is off limits in terms of level of overpoweredness, considering they already have things that can attack souls, adapt concepts, adapt to any and all phenomena, all that jazz. So it is very possible for Gojo to get this type of technique, and I wanted to just put my thoughts out there, because we're at a point where we cannot predict this fight. We're in round 2 now, and I don't think Gojo is going to arrive with nothing new up to this point, and this is what I can see the full potential of the 6 Eyes being. After all, the advancement I can see of being able to process information faster and put infinite amounts of information into people's brain through his domain expansion would being able to hit someone an infinite amount of times or hit someone more than what should be possible to hit someone. However, this is just my insane theory on what I think Gojo's new technique is and how Gojo is going to maximize the 6 Eyes potential. I want to hear what you guys think are, what you guys think on this theory, and if I'm just completely insane. Maybe it's possible, maybe it's not. I don't know. Leave your comments down below on what your thoughts are on this theory, and I'm gonna see y'all later. Peace.